whatever you put on a canvas in Photoshop can be converted into a brush. So I'm going to use a brush to actually make a brush. So right now I've got a basic brush and I'm just going to draw a smiley face. Now if I go to the edit menu, you'll see define brush preset. So what it does is capture whatever's on your canvas. Gives you a kind of a black and white preview. Because the background's red, it's actually going to capture those red pixels. So this isn't going to be the best sample, but we'll just call it sample 1. And there's the brush. So now if I clean up my canvas, reduce my brush size with a square bracket key, this is what I'm getting. Not very exciting, not a very good brush. So taking it a step further, if I resort back here, reset the tool, create a new layer, and don't have a background layer even visible because it captures the anything on the canvas. Doesn't matter what color you draw it. I'm just going to actually draw it in black this time. Now I can go into edit, define brush preset. I'm going to call this sample 2. And now I have a different version and you can see how it works. So all of the brush settings, if I go into F5, I can change all of this spacing and shape dynamics and all that kind of stuff, size jitter, angle jitter, and just kind of work with it. Color dynamics, all of that stuff. So whatever you put on the canvas can get captured and converted into a brush from the edit menu. Edit, define brush preset. Now, let's go to a different document and take a look at this stuff here. So I've got a variety of different things here. Again, whatever's visible on the canvas at any point in time can be captured as a brush. So the only thing I have visible is this. This would get captured, define brush preset, and I'm just going to name it. I'm not going to do all of these. I want to just specifically show you the difference between these two Mickeys. Okay, this one has a white background, this one has a blue background, and the white will actually get ignored by Photoshop. So I'm going to just show this first one here. I'm going to define that, define brush preset, Mickey 1. And I'm going to hide that layer, show you this one so you can compare. Mickey 2. All right, let's see how these work. Clean this canvas up here. So the brushes that I have available to me right now are sample 1, sample 2, which were the two faces. But so the LN, and again, by default, you're just going to get the brush, whatever color you choose is what you get here. Now, if I start dragging, I get this. So if I want it to have a variety of recognizable LNs, then I'm going to have to go into my brush controls and go through the items that were covered in a different video, like spacing, shape dynamics, etc. All right, but I wanted to specifically show you the Mickey Mouse brushes. So I can either go on the options bar, but I've got my brush panel open, and here's Mickey 1, okay? I'm not going to drag it, I'm just going to show you. So it's going to show up in this color. There's Mickey 1. That was the one with the white background, and it ignored it when it captured. Mickey 2 had the blue background, and you can clearly see the difference. It's captured the blue pixels. You want to take a look at it again, this one here. So you have to be careful with the images that you choose. Now, I can also take a photograph and capture that as a brush. If I just do it right now, it's going to get all of the pixels. Edit, define, brush preset, and I'm just going to call this one Tebow 1. This does not make for a very exciting brush. Make it a little bit smaller, and there you go. Not very good. Let's take that a step further. Let's go back over here and isolate these pixels. So I've already done a little bit of work on this file here. I'm going to load a selection that I already saved, and whatever selected can get captured as a brush. So I don't even have to mask it. I can just go to Edit, Define Brush Preset, and I'm just going to call this one, if I could spell, Tebow 2. Okay. So let's take a look at on this document here. Here's Tebow 2. A little bit better. We don't at least get the hard corners of the brush. Again, here's Tebow 1. And this was Tebow 2. So taking it a step further, if we start adding in some different adjustments, I've already got them set up here in this folder. Let's ignore, so again, only what is in the current selected area is what's going to get captured here. So I have added a black and white adjustment, and it's only applying to the current pixels. That's why you see the mask. And here I've added a threshold. So black and white would look like this, but by adding the threshold, it gives it a little bit more interest, in my opinion. So I've got a threshold adjustment here, and now whatever's currently selected, I can capture as a brush. Now, if I go to Edit, Define Brush Preset, I'm going to call this one Tebow 3. Now let's see what that looks like on this red canvas. Make it a little bit smaller, so it's a little bit more interesting. Obviously my color scheme is off, but if I go into my brush controls and I start doing things like changing the spacing, all these kinds of things, size jitter, angle jitter, scattering. Let's do some brush dynamics or color dynamics. Color dynamics, you want 2 different colors. Black and white is not a good choice, and we don't want red because that's our background. Apply per tip, slide this guy up. These all have to be in a positive value, not 0. And now I can take it and I can create kind of my own Tim Tebow custom wallpaper. And so the result with the 3rd version of Tebow, in my opinion, is a lot better. So a couple of things about this. If I'm on the threshold layer, sometimes it gets grayed out. See how here I can't define the brush? So you have to be on a pixel layer, or so if I'm on the background layer, it will let me do it. Define brush preset. If you can't figure out what's going on, you can always flatten the image, but I'd have to mask out the background here on this one. So you can delete pixels, so if I don't want the background showing, sometimes what people do, they have the selection, you can Control J, send it to its own layer, and then hide this, and now you can, as long as you're on a pixel layer, you should be able to see the Define Brush preset. If you're on anything with a mask, which is considered non-destructive, it will be grayed out. Oops, I lied. Well, if it is, try selecting a different layer, or worst case scenario, you could always go in, right-click anywhere on the empty space in a layer, and you can flatten the image. Just click OK, and then it will ignore the white, and then you can edit Define Brush Preset. Now, excuse me, the last thing I want to show you is how to store your brushes. So let's go into the brushes here. These are the new ones that I've made in this video. I can isolate them in their own brush group by clicking this folder icon right here. I can name it whatever I want. If I could spell, that would be helpful. My brushes. Oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm going to shift click the first and the last. It's going to get all of my brushes and I'm going to drag them in. It's kind of like layer groups. Create a folder and you can drag them in. Now I can collapse it. And they're stored in there. If I decide I want to delete a brush, like I'm never going to use sample 1, I can hit the trash can icon, or I can right mouse click and delete the brush. So I can isolate any brushes I make and use them later on down the road, and they're not going to be grouped in here. This is showing you recent brushes up here. If you don't like that, you don't want to see recent brushes, you can uncheck this right here and they will go away. They don't delete your brushes. So those are your brush, creating custom brushes and how to store your custom brushes by creating a folder and then dragging those brushes into their own brush group.